Girls who took notes using 50 different colored pens, where are you now? Do you still continue to write using all those colors? I don't write much anymore, but I still use colored pens for my personal notes. The color depends on my mood. When I used to keep a meticulous fitness agenda, everything was color-coded. I mostly write everything in purple now, but sometimes I use other colors and I like colorful post-it notes. I am working towards being a kindergarten teacher. Am I allowed to answer if I'm a guy? Because I ended up becoming the Excel guy in my office. All of my spreadsheets are exquisitely color-coded. Unfortunately not allowed in the line of work I chose. So now I use 50 different colored post-it notes. Improvise, adapt and overcome. It's my time to shine. I really sucked at taking notes. I failed out of 7th grade. I scraped by in high school. I got into the lowest tier university in the state only because they automatically accepted anyone with an ACT score over 21. Then I flunked out twice. I eventually did graduate with a degree that I never used. But it was with a 2.7 GPA. This is just to demonstrate how awful I was at note-taking, studying, anything involving recording and retaining information of the academic persuasion. Then I decided I was really tired of living below the line of poverty and got a master's in science. This required being at the very least passable at recording and retaining academic information. This is where the copious color-coded pens came in, and the color-coded highlighters, and the color-coded sticky notes, and the color-coded accordion folders. I was finally able to properly record information in a way I could retain, which led to my appointment as research assistant, then contributions to multiple academic publications, and ultimately a dream job at the R&D division of a certain computer company. Colored pens got me out of poverty and gave me the ability to help provide for my family. I'm a medical lab technician. I took notes with a million different colored pens in college. Up until 2 years ago, I graduated at age 41. Just bought myself a nice new set of gel pens. Real talk. Multiple colors really helped me categorize and compress complex ideas into things I could remember. It helped a lot in understanding the material and studying for tests. I used different ink and highlighter colors to compensate for terrible ADD. I work in a chemistry lab now. Sometimes I'll still use brightly colored pens to record my results for fun, but I don't ever switch between colors, color code anything anymore. All the different colored ink highlighting helped me remember my notes come exam time. So now that I'm out of college, I don't need to switch between colors. I low-key miss color coding and taking notes sometimes, though. Bold of you to assume that's a girl-only thing. I'm a high school English teacher and there's a big correlation between note-taking skills and success in my classes. Color coding notes definitely helps. I'm an engineer with dyslexia and ADHD. I took notes with tons of colors and still do now. The colors help me stay organized, keep track of numbers and not mix up information. I keep like categorically and have a whole notation system. A friend recommended I try it in college and it helped me go from C's to B+ and A's. I'm good at picturing notes and the colors help to guide my brain to the relevant information in my memory picture, if that makes sense. In all one color it just looked like a jumbled mess. Either way, yes, I still use colored pens as a 30-year-old adult engineer. Ended up in med school, so not doing bad I guess. I do still continue color coding everything in college as I did in high school and before. My case of synesthesia lets me see words, letters and certain concepts in different colors. By using the same colors to actually write the words or underline them, I solidify the memory links in my brain and it helps me remember things. I also take graphic notes with arrows and double lines or write in groups of small areas, etc. so that I can clearly categorize things I need to remember. If you're a visual learner, this helps a lot. I will never forget sitting in class and asking the girl sitting next to me for a pen, and she turns back to me with a straight face and says to me, "What color?" They now work for the FBI as IT analysts. They are all called Penelope Garcia. A guy classmate of mine did this. One of the smartest in the class. His notes were fantastic. He's an engineer now and has a great family life from what I see on his FB. Cool guy. Jason, if you're reading this, you rock, my dude. I knew a guy who would take color-coded notes in class. Then immediately after class go through them and then do even more advanced color coding with added references and stuff. He was probably the hardest working and smartest guy I've ever known, and he grew up in a small village in Venezuela and now is a US citizen and officer in the Navy. Made me embarrassed that he is a better speaker in 2 languages than I am in 1. I went from being in school to be a grade school art teacher to stay-at-home, homeschooling mom to now finishing up a graduate degree in computer science and have job lined up as a software developer. And yes, I still use all those colors and Elflord in Vim because colors, and it's the easiest for me to read. I color-coded my notes. I have OCD and it makes everything feel neater and easier to flick through. If you want, I'll give my system as I found it to be very useful. Maybe you will too. Oh, and I am currently unemployed but due to the recent birth of my son, James, I've been looking into jobs. Or, an alternative way, I use black for titles and subtitles, as for me, the title isn't that important. The dates are written in a subtle color, because the focus should be on the stuff below. I'm not focusing on the title, more on the definitions, key words, diagrams, instructions etc. Blue is the most used, as that's usually what I use for simple stuff. Red is used for diagrams, definitions and instructions, and research shows that red helps with more detailed information than blue. Also, red is cool. I highlight keywords in pastel pink because it looks pretty with blue and highlight in pastel orange because fire and shit. As for the summary, I write it in gray with a black border. It's a lot but I mainly just focus on aesthetic more than anything. My cousin did this in HS. She is now a very organized and successful nurse. I had a friend who used to do that. One of the smartest people I knew. She is married now and has a kid and is a stay-at-home mom. Still one of the smartest people you knew. She figured out how to find someone that could work for her. I paint for a living, so I switched from pens to paint. The gel pens were fun but impractical. I stick to basic ink colors because it's easier to read things with a strong contrast. But I have Sharpies in every color because doodling is fun. We all became bullet journalists. I have a few friends that do that. One of them is studying to be a doctor. Moved the colored pens to a tablet to easily switch colors. Another wants to become a sign language translator, keep forgetting the actual term. Puts on a different color of gloves. This reminds me of a girl in one of my college classes. It would be inaccurate to say she took notes. She took transcripts. She would write down everything in class. Everything the teacher said. Every quote from the book that we read. Even every rabbit trail the class went down. She'd be taking meticulous notes, including asking students for the first and last name so she could attribute the quotes properly. Our midterm exam was a 10-page paper. She spent 30 hours on hers and got a 97%. I spent 2 hours on mine and got a 93%. I was much happier trading that 4% of my grade for 28 hours of my life. She probably got a lot more out of it than 4% of a grade. Like, knowledge and stuff. The reason you're in class. That being said, I would probably also choose the 2-hour 93%. This isn't supposed to be snide. I just like to remind people that the point of classes is not to get an A. There's a PM at my company that does this. No idea how the hell she has the focus and time to take such detailed Technicolor dream notes during meetings, but I've never had a problem with getting any relevant info from her, so yeah. Gotta respect note-taking game like that. Certain law school prep guides teach you to take notes on court opinions using different colors. 90% of first-year law students show up with 4 different color highlighters. By the end of the last year, few still use them. In legal practice, I have developed color coding for notes of the cases I'm working on. I have not yet found a way to put a heart over the I in my filings. I'm one of those girls currently in college. I don't do it because I'm organized or anything. I just love buying pens, markers, and otherwise I can't pay attention to my notes. It's aesthetically appealing to me, which immensely helps encourage me to actually take notes. I have a bag of scented markers and a bag of rainbow pens I keep in my office for when I attend work meetings. Also not a teacher, but I am a director of a facility that serves kids. I think the teachers now, and yes, they still use all those colors. Sure do. I'm almost 35, in college, and still using multicolored pens. I work in IT, and yes, I still have all those colors and still use them all in my day planner. I actually do. I'm now a professional scientist and it makes my lab notebook pretty. Plus, frankly, often it's really helpful to have multiple colors. I also like having a bunch of colors for seminar speakers because it somehow keeps me more interested to choose a different color for a different speaker. Honestly though, the core reason is the main reason I enjoy multiple colors is because I often feel the secret to success against procrastination is negotiating with your inner 5-year-old. Okay, you need to write these notes. But if you do, you can choose what color to write them in. You might as well find a little happiness in the world where you can. Smiley face. I am a med student now, also I am failing because I no longer have time to use fancy pens and prepare colorful notes for all my classes. My wife did this when we were in school and she still loves using multicolored pens for everything she can. She even uses her own pretty colors for writing in the labels for things at work. You can always tell work that was done by her from everyone else's. A true ray of sunshine. I still color code based on class. Each class has a color. This color includes the folder color, the pen color, the sticky note color that the assignments are written on and placed in my planner on the date they are due. I also teach intro statistics to undergraduates, where I also color code parts of the equations and the values that get inserted to the equation, so the students can see where the numbers come from more easily. Yup. Homeschooling SAHM here. I use one set of colors for my personal planner. Each person has their own color. Bills have one. Holidays and birthdays share one. Family and community events have their own. And finally, the animals have a color. School planning has another set for each subject. I work in an office setting now and do still like to use different colored pens for things, if the situation allows it. I don't know if this will make sense to anyone else, but I love colors. I especially like the idea of colors being associated with ideas, personalities, names or themes. Oh, today is Monday. I think orange is a good Monday color. Pink is Friday. Green is Wednesday. I love how Windows 10 allows me to change the colors of tiles so that my computer seems more like me. I am constantly changing the colors of my Apple Watch face. I dunno, I think I have a problem. My grade 9 science teacher forced us all to do it. He said that by color coding everything you understood the material better because you had to think about it longer to color code it and understand what other things it was associated with, not just zone out and go into transcribing mode. He also made us do end of unit study guides. They had to be color coded, a set amount of drawings, and unit words and definitions. The drawings were doodles based on things in the unit. He would mark them and hand them back before the test, which was great because he knew if he needed to help us with something before we bombed the test. He was also a MMA fighter with cauliflower ears and not the type of guy you would expect to demand rainbow-colored notes.